All right, guys, this is part two of my mental health journey. Mental health awareness was just a couple weeks ago, just a little bit ago. Whenever you're watching this, kind of helped me take my mental health awareness to the next level. I'm going to tell you that it's going to be in different phases for me. This one today is kind of where my depression and anxiety builds up, and some of the things that I've started to notice and see happening to myself. And I want to, hopefully make people aware. Maybe people have very similar situations. Again, I'm learning from different people every single day about what they have and some of the insecurities and the things that have happened to bring them down on that level. Again, mental health awareness or mental health is not a joke, and I think that more people need to be made aware. So right off the bat, I would say that, majority of people don't understand or don't even realize that I have, struggled with, just being depressed and high anxiety. And because I will, talk about all the great things that go on in my life, and all the things that I have going for myself, but I've never really come out with the things that I, struggle with. And with that, people aren't aware of my struggles and what I go through in the day in and day out. When I do start to find someone that's, I can open up to, I always seem to get burned. So let's kind of start there with some of the one of the biggest things for myself is the trust factor. I had a great talk with somebody just yesterday about that trust factor and how hard it is to trust. Maybe some of the things that you did, or maybe some of the things that another person in your life has done to you to make you not trust someone. So it kind of holds you back from being the complete you because of all those things. When you start to finally find someone, or just, it could be a friend, a relationship, a family member that you can trust enough not to say anything, I have still thought that person might say something, which has held me back from really expressing who I am. And what I go through. One of the biggest reasons, again, that I'm doing this video is the person that I was recently opening up to, came out and said, when I was explaining that I was going through a deep depression, and it was something that they caused, the response was, I don't have time for this. And I explained what was going on with me. And she said that it was a roller coaster with me. And that's like the worst thing that you could say to somebody that has deep depression and anxiety, because at that point I felt very alone and very helpless. I wasn't sure who to go to. So that's a great case in point where I trusted in someone so much that they just blatantly didn't care. And this person was my partner. She was someone that I loved and was always there for, and put myself through a lot of the depressional phase for her happiness. So I sacrificed a lot, and then to hear something like that just goes to show, and it makes you think that, who can you really trust? I have family members, that I can reach out to, but I still am nervous to tell them about certain things because, I have shown the expectation, or the person that I've shown to be is this strong, tough guy that needs absolutely nobody. And I think everyone needs someone in their life, whether it's a friend, a significant other, or a family member that they could just talk to. But I've always been the one that it's like, I don't need anybody. I got it on my own. I'm not going to talk about these types of things because I'm just strong. And I think I know that for myself, it has brought me down a couple levels because, in fact, now that it's built up to where it could burst, just meaning like the stresses and anxieties that have built up. If I, would have told people early on, instead of being this big tough guy, maybe I would have been able to get through some of these processes earlier. Again, I just told someone about some of this stuff and it got, kind of, I don't want to say like smacked in the face, but it got turned around and it made me feel even worse. Thankfully I recognized that right away and was able to get out of that situation right away. So the trust factor of not knowing who to go to in the right time of need and just sitting down and talking to someone is such a big deal. Again, that's a fault of my own, that I've taken ownership for of, being this big, strong, tough guy that doesn't really need anyone. I have reached out to my aunts and at times, they have been really, really big help to me. But I don't always want to bother them as well. And I wish I could, do that. Some of the other things that, people have cheated on me or betrayed me, not just in those words that other person said, but I've been cheated on in the past that has led me to not give my whole heart to somebody. I've had friends that I'm not as close with. Maybe I burn bridge, maybe they burn bridge, maybe we just didn't see eye to eye, that I trusted, to not tell certain things, and in return they still did. And it definitely burned me and it hurt. So it leaves me not to be as vulnerable as I once was, which is definitely a difficult situation mentally. And when for me, mentally means physically. I lose sleep. I try to work out, but sometimes that doesn't work. I'll eat in my depression, because I'm bored. I'm trying to think of other things to do. So it has taken a drastic role on physically, just because the mental aspect has messed with me so much. So that's the trust factor is really big. The other issue is the insecurities. I just said, it has taken a toll on me physically. I'm very self-conscious of my body, but when I'm depressed, I eat, and try to take my mind off of certain things. So that my insecurities is now affecting my depression as well, because I'm gaining weight because I am depressed, and it's like a never-ending cycle or battle. I'm losing my hair. So I try to get a haircut literally every single week, get a lineup, make myself feel better, because and I wouldn't say I'm necessarily insecure about that, but if it doesn't look right and I think somebody could think something, I will make sure that I prevent that. And that's literally why I get a haircut every single week. It makes me feel better. It's expensive, but to me, it's kind of well worth it. Insecurities of just the way I look and the physicality, I have to wear certain clothes to make myself feel better. And those types of things have really, hurt my pocket a little bit, but, it's made me feel better about myself, because I'd rather go out and spend more money than to feel the depressed and anxiety of how I look that day and things like that. And it's the expectation, it's the self, it's the social media aspect of it. We all have to look a certain way on social media. We got to take 30 different photos and it has to look good and blah, blah, blah. So all those things are definitely, definitely some of the big insecurities. I'm also insecure about, where I'm at in life. I'm 31. I have no children. I just broke up with someone that I thought was really, really good for me. But, looking in on it, I wasn't as happy as I thought I was, just because of the way I was being treated. And we'll get into that in another part. all these factors, with not being married and all the insecurities, it's definitely taken a toll on me, and mentally it's brought me down certain levels. It's been a difficult road, because what I've noticed is that my depression and anxiety has continued to grow, throughout. When I used to go to the gym, used to be a really key thing for me to make me, help my depression and anxiety. Well, now I've gotten such bad anxiety that at the gym, it's like I'm almost having like a panic attack. My heart speeds up, my mind's racing, and it can't slow myself down. Football has been a huge crutch for me in the past, that I've had anxiety and depression about those types of things. I have leaned on, the bottle of alcohol, a lot as a crutch. And it's the depression and anxiety has kind of taken over. I realized that this past year, this person that I was with, had me so deeply depressed that, I was drinking nonstop, where there was a big function and I was still hungover from it, but that's because I drank so much the night before, because plans were changed. I was definitely drinking, a lot more to pass the time, and because I didn't want to be, depressed any longer. I didn't want to feel those anxieties, and those things made me forget. But the next day, it kept triggering back up. So in the month of January, I stopped drinking for quite a period of time, because I didn't want it to affect my body and my mentality and all those different things any longer. Which was it definitely helped. I don't go to a therapist. I think it is good for me, to talk to somebody. I'm not sure why I haven't. Maybe it is a good fit for me. I also think that church might be good for me, at certain points. I like to go to the gym early on Sunday morning, but, if I could find someone that, not my mother, I love her to death, but, I would like to go someone that, like, it's different. I can't really explain it, but someone else rather than my mother, that can kind of share that experience with me. Not a relationship style, but even like a friend that will go to church and maybe go through that. I've found my faith a lot more, and we'll talk about that in another part. I was on medication, a while ago. It honestly made me feel like a zombie. I've talked to a bunch of different people, and they have informed me, they've told me that they thought, there's different people that said they thought that I should go on medication. I found out a lot of other people are, but, unfortunately, it kind of makes me worried, because I don't want to be a zombie. So I'm willing to fight my own, thoughts, to, not have that feeling. I coach high school football, but I'm also a salesman. My job has me in the car driving by myself, 10% of the time, 20% of the time. I'm at home probably 40 to 50% of the time. So we're saying only about 30 to about 40% of the time is when I'm actually interacting with other people. So, I sit at home, and all I do is I constantly think about things and think about things and think about things. And it's leading me into a phase where I have been, really analyzing and overthinking things and bringing myself down, quite often. So it's been an interesting, thing to understand and realize, and I just started noticing that part, as of the last 6 months to a year as well. So those are some of where my anxiety is, my faults. I'll say one more thing, and I almost forgot to mention this, was, in the past I've lied, boasted, and cheated, and I think that has also hurt me because I've done that because of my insecurities. I've brought all those things out to make myself look better and feel better in front of people. But truth be told, a lot of people might have known I was lying. A lot of people might have known that I was not telling the truth to the full amount. All those things involved, I think have hurt me, and because I might have lost some friends, but also mentally, I've told these things, and then I got to continue on that path, and it's not a good feeling. So I've broken myself down and tried to prevent that as well. So like I said, this is part 2 of my mental health awareness. This is kind of like the realization of where I'm at. I'm probably forgetting a couple things, and the next step is to kind of tell you where I thought most of this stuff has started, and where it's going to go to next. Every single level, of where it started, and how I've allowed people around me to bring me down, mostly in relationships where I've been cheated on, I've cheated, I've lied, and I put a lot of trust in people, started to open myself up and be more vulnerable just for other people to break it down, losing a lot of friends and a lot of family, like close family member types, due to relationships. And it's definitely broken me down to find out that the person that I expected or thought people were going to be weren't it. And I'm sure people thought of that of me as well. So I appreciate everyone watching this part 2. Maybe I'll try to record the next one. I'm not sure when these are going to go up, but when they do, I appreciate everyone watching it. Thank you.